Right, well, it's all happening here, look. The little puppy is enjoying it. Right, so what happened? Suddenly, all of a sudden, the car started vibrating a bit. Hang on a minute, I'm going to have to get round here. Oops. And I wasn't sure what it was. Had a number of options. The steering wheel was vibrating a bit. The engine sounded fine. At first I thought the car was missing. I thought the engine was missing. That's what it sounded like. But it was jerking. And anyway, the end result was that Tom took the wheel off and discovered that this brake cylinder in here was rusted up and had seized. So the brakes were really partly on. So then taking the oops, what we got here? Taking the caliper out, we discovered that even releasing it, and it seemed to work all right. When we put the wheel back on, we'd greased everything up on the caliper and everything, but it was working fine. But when we put the wheel back on, drove the car down the road, it seized up again. So I bought a new caliper. It's very strange. The place that sold them said that this is the last one they were going to have. And obviously the Avantime has two different models. This is a double piston one, and there's a single piston. Anyway, but what we have done as well, while we were at it, so in case the disc was damaged, because obviously I've been driving it, it was overheating, so bought two discs, new discs, one for each side obviously, and a new set of pads. The other caliper we checked and that was okay, so I'm going to leave that. So it's going to have tomorrow, when we pick the discs and the pads up, tomorrow it'll have a new caliper fitted and discs on each side in the front and pads. But what Tom's doing at the moment now is having a look at the Crossfire, because that's had a thumping underneath it. It sounds, when you go over a really deep bump, it sounds like the exhaust is banging on the floor. And I've mentioned it to two garages and they haven't come up with anything. They said they couldn't hear anything. Well, I suspect they didn't take it over any bumps. But anyway, so Tom's going to jack it up. He's taking the wheel off. He's going to have a look, see what he can find, see if there's anything obvious. Let's have a look, see how he's getting on. Meanwhile, I'm keeping an eye on this little dog. While we're going there, let's have a look over here for a second. There's a empty space there where my scooter, my Vespa scooter, normally is, and that's because when I started it up to take it for an MOT last week, it suddenly died. I couldn't get it to run. So we took it into a garage for its MOT, but they're going to get it fixed first. We took it inside a van. We pushed it up a ramp, got it in the van, took it to the garage, and it's at the garage at the moment. Hopefully they can find out why it's not running, and then they'll MOT it. So it's one thing I haven't got to worry about at the moment. Right, let's have a look at what's happening here with the Crossfire. Does that work?
Yeah, you're getting there. Alright, I've got something in the professional.
Yeah. Yeah, you check it out. Yeah. She. Well, there's definitely something thumping. I mean, you heard it anyway, didn't you? Yeah. So you... Unlike that other garage, you just told me they didn't hear anything. It's not that cover, is it? The liner, you know,
This bit?
no, the great big liner, the actual,
No.
because that was loose apparently. It was moving around actually. See what I mean? I wondered if something was banging on that, or that was banging. But
Not that I can see. Everything looks pretty secure.
yeah. I mean, you
Just looking from the top.
You see, the other reason that I thought it was the exhaust, apart from the fact it sounded like the exhaust, was that it had had a new exhaust fitted recently, and the exhaust sounded like it wasn't the original one. It was an aftermarket, which means that, you know, if it's slightly out of what it should be, under vibration, it's going to hit, isn't it?
Do it back up. She's going to do it back up for me.
Oh. What are you chewing? I'm not sure whether that's a good idea.
Builder.
Yeah, you want to be a builder or a mechanic? A mechanic. All right. Never buy a dog a toy. Just give them all your stuff.
Yeah, tool set.
Yeah. Yep. Right, so we've got the discs, two lovely discs. Christ, they're heavy. They are heavy, aren't they? God, bloody hell. Yeah. You don't realise you lift them up. Anyway, what have we got here? Two sets of pads. They always look nice when they're new. And one new caliper going on. That's the rusty old one, eh?
Slight difference between the two.
Yeah, look at that. Are they Aspas ones, did they say, or are those?
3 litre Aspas.
Yeah, must be. That's okay then. Yeah. So the 2 litre car had one with just one single piston.
Yeah.
That's quite a big difference in brakes when you've got 2 pistons, isn't it? Really. I didn't think, you know, when you think about it, what things cost, they're not as expensive as you think, really.
I think when there's to do safety,
Yeah.
they put the price up. But
Yeah, you would, wouldn't you?
these ones all the rubber split. It's this one here that don't move.
That one's not moving.
Yeah.
Ah, so what was happening? So one was stuck and one wasn't. So that's why it was juddering, but still going forward. Yeah.
And you still had some braking because that one
Yeah.
was making it stop even more.
Yeah, of course.
But that one was just holding it gently.
Yeah. Yeah. And the other one is all right though.
Yeah.
While we're doing all this.
Yeah, everyone's fine.
Yeah, not too bad, but they're not worth keeping at all.
See the heat transferred onto it.
Yeah, yeah.
Somewhere safe. Got my gloves here. Bit too late now.
Right. Is that from the heat?
So that's still here. Right. Yeah, no, that's just corrosion.
Oh, that's
the
sorry.
heat.
Yeah, that's the heat. Yeah, that's what I
And
meant.
that's where the pads were stuck
Mm.
on.
Mm. interesting.
Could do with an actual wire brush rather than a drill one.
Yeah.
Just to give it a once over.
I've got one in France. I might have one in that tool bag. I'll see if I'll go and have a look at it. See if I
I'll
can
put
find
the
it.
new ones on, I'll give it a little scrub.
Right. Wire brush. What's that? Yeah. Well, yeah. Different design though, aren't they? Or is that just wear? Oh, that's just
the
wear.
in between the
Oh
two.
yeah, right. God. I suppose they're the original ones. Mind you, if they're sitting around, they're not going to last that long, are they really? All the time. Right. Yeah, a lot of crud. What about all your nuts and bolts? Did you take them out?
I'll leave them now, working as I put them back on.
I mean, really, this is why I wanted that ramp, because I figured that if you get the car up on the ramp, do all this, clean it off, and then even spray it with grease, you know,
Yeah.
it's going to protect it, isn't it?
You could actually work slowly, take every part off,
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking.
sandblast it,
Yeah,
recoat it, put it back on.
yeah. But even getting underneath and cleaning the car properly. Well, that looks a lot nicer.
Let's see if you have rubber gloves. No rubber gloves.
Oh, don't, you got holes in them now.
That's it. As long as you don't eat them.
That would be better if they stayed that colour all the time. Yeah, looks much better.
One little issue with this one at the moment. I think this is corroded and swelled, so this one's not fitting in. Probably someone has to take it back off and sand it down.
What, the
This bracket.
oh, the bracket? Really? Oh, you found the glove again.
How did you get that again? You monkey.
I'm a dog. I find these things.
Ta-da.
Right. So what's happened then?
one's
Yeah, that one's
fine.
lovely, isn't it? Yeah.
Seized.
But is that in addition to the other problem?
Yeah,
Or-
the caliper was a problem because the caliper was seized as well.
Right.
But it may have been just pushing onto that has overheated that, made it seize, or I just don't know.
Yeah.
See if I've got a spanner and fix it. If I hold it, can you give it some gentle taps?
Bloody flies going around me. Right. Okay.
So gentle taps on the.
You want me to do this so that
Yeah.
if anything happens, where am I going to tap it?
Just there.
Yeah. Okay.
That's it. That's it.
Okay. So the story is then you got this released.
Yep, that was locked in place.
Yeah.
The garage kindly unlocked it for me, managed to get the piston out.
And you've got
just
new,
going through the process of cleaning out the old, getting all the grit out.
and you've got a new.
New grommet set of grease.
And the
Pop all this back
interesting,
together, see if it fits.
And the interesting thing is they say they don't make these anymore, and even the replacement ones are not made.
Yeah, so any replica parts are no longer being made.
That's not so interesting. Right, well, we'll see what happens when you get that fitted.
Got another one up there.
Yeah. Down to the floor. Down to the floor. Off.
Right.
To the floor, that is. Off.
Right.
Down to the floor.
Off.
Off.
Right.
Down to the floor.
Off.
Off.
That's it.
Brake. Is that it?
2 pumps of air and then fluid, no bubbles.
Okay. Shall I turn it off?
Yeah, that's all done now.
Right.
Still turns.
Right, so this is the other wheel. I don't know. This is a new brake pad, obviously. And that's gonna fit in there. This is the brake pads that we found on this side. I'm not going to make an issue of this one because for a lot of reasons, but this car passed an MOT a few weeks ago with no advisories. Okay, so this piece in here, which bracket that the caliper fits into, that we fitted on the other side, that was seized. On this side, both of those little pistons on it were seized, so Tom's had to go off to see if he can get them released at the garage, where they got a vise and everything that we haven't got here to hold it tight, so to try and release them. They're seized up. So basically these calipers and brackets were, I don't know what they call the brackets, but anyway, the brackets were all rusted up and seized. Quite horrific, really. Anyway, at least now we'll have a new braking system basically in the front of the car. And the interesting thing is that they don't make the parts now. Now, this is exactly the same as the Espace. I mean, it's an Espace braking system. So now Renault haven't got any and say they don't have any, and all the aftermarket places don't have any. We found the last bracket. The bracket we couldn't get. We found the last caliper. That's obviously not going to be the last one in the country, but we were trying to find another bracket, the one that was seized originally, and nobody around in the country seemed to have one from all the suppliers that tried. Now, whether that same part is made for another vehicle, maybe a Clio, I don't know, or another Renault vehicle, and Renault don't want to tell you these things, or maybe a Citroen, maybe the French shared it with some other car. I don't know. I'm going to try and find out. But you think that single part, if you can't get it, then this car is and an Espace would be completely useless. And what would you do? You'd have to try and modify the car to take a different braking set of discs. And this is the problem with cars now, and I don't think the manufacturers care, because they just want to sell new cars now. They don't really want these old cars on the road, and they've got the government supporting them, obviously, because they don't want old internal combustion engine cars now on the road. So it's a bit of a lesson here to do with old cars, which is what I've been maintaining, that a lot of these cars now are just not worth anything, to be honest with you. In the next 10 years, I think a lot of these cars are just going to become scrap. But my Dodge over there, which is 70 years old, over 70 years old, if I wanted to get brake parts for that, I can get them off the shelf. Actually, probably in the UK, but certainly in the US. And I can get most parts for that car. I mean, there's less parts obviously required, and they're less complicated. So you're better off running a car like that, or the little Citroens. These cars, these modern classics, are okay for a year or two while they're running. But I've got a dismal view about it all, really. Anyway, we'll see what happens later on when Tom gets back, and we get this final bracket on and the caliper on, and all the brake system should at least be new. Okay. So, the situation here is that I've got a car here that's had a service, and it had an MOT, but suddenly the brakes seized up. I mean, I didn't know what it was to start off with, but it was the brakes that seized here. But fundamentally, the caliper here was completely no good. It was seized and rusted and everything. The other one on the other side seems to be working, but it wasn't seized. But the brackets that the calipers sit in, they've got another piston in them. This one was seized. In one of the two pistons was seized, and the other one, both of them were. They're the ones that bring it the calipers back and forth, I think. I just don't know. Oh, and the pads on that one were almost disintegrated. They disintegrated virtually when we took them off. I mean, hard to believe, really. Good job it didn't happen when I was going on a long journey. I'm going to have a look at those back brakes next, and see what the situation is with them. So we've had a few issues with this car, considering the lack of use. I mean, I love this car, it's beautiful. And, these problems are probably due to maybe lack of maintenance, lack of attention. I don't know. I find that if you treat a car with care and look after it, service it, and don't abuse it when you drive it, that it tends to last quite well. At least all the cars I have do. But I have to say, it's pretty bad, this, really. Anyway, we'll when we get this sorted, we'll next step is we'll have a look at the rear brakes, see what's happened there. And there's been quite a bit of rust underneath this car, I suppose, I'm guessing that really this is a result of this car had come from Scotland, where obviously there must be a lot of salt on the road up there. I mean, I know the bodywork is plastic, so that's got no rust in it, and the chassis itself is galvanized, but all the other parts that are not, I mean, what it really wants is get it up on a ramp and clean everything off and get the underneath back to some sort of decent condition, underseal it or whatever. I mean, we had a lot of rust on that cross member, that bracket that went underneath the radiator. I had to replace that. So obviously a lot of that stuff was pretty rotten under there. And I guess that's probably why the brakes were like that. Right. The problem with having so many cars. As soon as you fix one, there's another one to fix. Right. So, we got it back. Okay. So, what did he do?
So, in the vice, clamped this, managed to get this one out.
Yeah.
But the hole was very rusted inside, so it had to be drilled out, cleaned out. This one's then reworked properly. This side was completely seized, so it took heating up the actual side of it, and then a lot of work to try and ease that one out. Once it had to be drilled with 2 different size drill pieces to actually clear it out. And then the hole on this one had to be re-tapped so we could actually get the bolt back in.
God almighty.
And now I've got to put the new seals on.
That wouldn't pass an MOT, would it?
No. That would not pass an MOT.
Okay. Right, we're not going to say any more about
this. Was in 2 halves.
Yeah. The only thing we haven't replaced is that other caliper, and that caliper's okay on that side.
Got it fine, it pushed back in easy, it's all going
Okay.
fine.
So in theory, the car should be faster as well now.
Yeah. And it should stop.
And it should stop all right, yeah. Well, it was stopping all right before, actually. Okay, we'll see what it looks like when it's on.
You don't have to use this much, but if it stops it sticking and seizing, then why not give it a good layer if you've got it?
Hmm.
Difference between the two as well, how much is left on that.
Yeah.
I should wear reasonably evenly.
Did they, down at that place, Bennett's there, did they say they had more of those calipers, or was that the last one?
I think they had a couple.
Surprised they had them then.
Yeah, that caliper might be more common than the
Yeah, but then if they,
compared.
well, what I was going to say was, if they got the calipers, you'd think they'd have the brackets in, wouldn't you? Or whatever,
Yeah.
the holder, or whatever it is.
They couldn't get the holder, but they can get disc and pads. They'll just double the price of the other place.
So the pistons are all working lovely on that one, eh?
Yeah, went straight back where they're supposed to go. Cushion back.
We'll take it out and try it out. Did you cable tie the other one then?
The other one don't have one, and the other on one side.
Oh. Oh, I see, yeah. Yeah.
Tap it off.
You don't bleed that one.
No, the other one's all done now, all the bleeding's done. So what we could do though is try the brake.
Yeah, okay.
Start it up again.
Okay. Yeah. Off. Is it seized? Turn it off. Was it all right? It was releasing, okay. Oh, Tom.
It didn't go at first, then it just suddenly went. I had me tetanus shot last time I was here and I took the skin off my finger.
Tom, take it easy. So the best thing to do now is take it for a test run and then see what it's like when you get back.
The last piece.
Yeah, the piece that everyone seems to lose, and they're always trying to find spares for those. I'm always fascinated by that. I think the concept that you touch that button once and everything opens. All four windows and the sunroof and the blind all just go. Excellent, excellent idea. That bleeping noise. It's a warning that comes up that says the car needs a service. Well, it had a service, and they cancelled the service warning light, and it keeps coming back. I don't know. I just ignore it now. That bleep was the. Of course, it went into reverse. Anyway, the thing is that. We've got the brakes working now. Took it out for a test drive. It seems fine. Obviously the brakes tell they need bedding in, obviously, and I can try them. But the main thing is that they started, they went on and they released immediately. So put the brakes on and then they release immediately. Anyway, we're going to check out the back brakes next week probably when Tom gets down here again. He's only here now and again doing some work for me. So that was the story with the Avantime brakes. I'm so pleased that they didn't go when I was on a long journey, because that one of the pads on that side actually fell apart when we tried to get it out. Okay. I don't know what the next job is. I got some jobs to do on my Dodge actually. And I got the headlining to sort out on the Jag, and I've got the problem on this car, which is to do with this door down there. And it's because of the rust that's in here. So what I did was, last year I bought 2 doors. I've got 2 doors with actually the same skin, the same colour, and there's no rust on them, so I'm going to see about getting the doors changed, so to put the doors on, the new doors that I bought. That's another job. And the Jag, I've got the headlining needs attention, that sagging in it. Anyway, that's all for now. Right, well, this is about 10 minutes from my last bit of video, and I took the car down the road just for a final spin before I put it away, and guess what? It started to vibrate. So look, steering, and I've got a feeling it felt like one of those brake, well, I can't believe it. It wouldn't have happened, but anyway, it felt like one of those pistons that seized up again. So look, doesn't feel right to me. So I think we're going to have a look at that. Yeah, it's vibrating now. Right, we'll park this up, I think, and leave it for a bit. So I think there's going to be more to report on this brake problem. Oh God, this car is I love it, but it does play up. Anyway, that's all for now. Well, bit of a postscript here. I decided just to get in the Jag and park it up next to the Avantime. Now, ever since I've had this car, which is a couple of years now, there's been a small area of the headlining that's loose, and then, you know, they're notorious, these headlinings, for coming loose. But it's only been one small area. Anyway, I've just got into the car now. It's bloody hot, 'cause obviously it's a hot day today and the car's hot. Anyway, look at this. Suddenly, the whole lot's come. It's, well, basically it's all coming down. It's coming down in the back. It's come right across here. So, what obviously this means is that the all the trim needs to come out, come away. This big panel here, which is obviously one piece, needs to come down. Got taken out the car, and then all this can be restuck down and all put back. So this is a job now that I've got to do. It's a shame really, because I've just had all the other work done on the car, and the car hasn't got a mark, and now this happens. I can't just leave it, can I? Oh dear. So there's 2 cars here, both in need of further work. The brakes aren't completely fixed on that one yet, and we haven't had a look at the back brakes, because I suspect they're as possibly as bad as the fronts. Okay. The Dodges, I was out in that today, and that was okay. And my 2 little Citroens are running alright. I think I'll have to start using them. They seem to be less trouble. Right, that is it for now.